Like, I love punching a bag. Like, that was so great for me when I first started working out. It got out a lot of stress. So that's something that will stay with me. I love that. But going on a treadmill, I don't like, so I won't do it. So I think people do things and they have this word should in their heads. Like, oh, I should do that because so and so does it. I was just going to say, people also compare themselves. And that is the number one no no. Don't compare yourself because we are all so different.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepic, here with you every week, and I am so excited for today's conversation. And I know I say that every time, but so a couple weeks ago, we talked about matching our fitness and our personality. Today, we're going to expand on that and get into, fitness and workout changes at different times in our lives, and also, sort of understanding group fitness versus personal training and all the nitty gritty. So I'm thrilled to introduce you to our featured guest for today. She's an emerging star in the fitness arena. Not only does she have a successful personal training business in Bergen County, New Jersey, she's taken what some would think of as a setback with the pandemic restrictions and launched an online group fitness program with classes ranging from kickboxing and Pilates to HIIT, high intensity interval training, and boot camp. To top it off, she just launched a new app called Girl Up, designed to help women target specific areas of their body to get in shape affordably and with simple exercises. Her fitness journey is one many of us can relate to. As a working mother of two, she had little me time, and as a result, struggled internally with her confidence, self-worth, and positivity. It wasn't until a friend bought her a gym membership that she even considered exercise as a part of her life, let alone an important part of her daily life. 1 year after starting her health journey, she became certified as a group fitness instructor, began teaching classes, then certified as a personal trainer, started her business, Rise Personal Training, and now Girl Up, the app. Her boundless energy is evident in everything she does, and that's just one of the many reasons why she's here. So without further ado, I give you Darlene Bellarmino.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries.
Thanks. I'm psyched. Can't wait for this.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled to have you. And I want to jump into, your background really quick for our members.
Sure.
So you guys, this week is awesome. I can't even contain myself. So you're getting a free consultation with Darlene, a free virtual class from Darlene and Rise Personal Training. And your recipe, it's so good. Your recipe is for almond flour chocolate cake. It's vegan and gluten-free. And it's kind of like a cookie cake, legit amazing. And, this week in your member email, it's like your foodie and your fitness life, right? We're tackling everything this week. So if you're not already a member and you're probably thinking to yourself, why not? This is awesome. And it is. We want to have you. So all you have to do is go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts like today, you're getting a free virtual class and a free fitness consultation, plus access to live Q&A sessions. In this 1 week, you guys, the value of what you're getting already pays for your month because it's more than the $10 cost. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Show yourself that your health is a priority with this membership. Plus, by being a member, you support this podcast and this community so we can continue bringing you new episodes and experts every week. Remember, all you have to do is head over to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or there's a link in the show notes too. Keep it easy, right? Once you're there, click support now, enter your email and payment method, click subscribe, and you're all set. That's it to get this week's free fitness consultation with Darlene, free virtual class with Rise Personal Training, and the almond flour chocolate cake recipe. Amazing. Okay. Darlene, so we shared a bit of your story when I introduced you. So I have to ask, the friend who gave you this gym membership, first, what was your response when a friend gave you a gym membership as a gift?
All right. Well, actually, you just made me remember even more of that. So here's a friend who had been working out for a long time, but in the process of giving me this, she was also training to compete in one of those fitness, one of those competitions. So she had all this muscle and she just looked amazing. She had confidence. And I'm thinking, wow, you want me to walk into a gym? Are you kidding me? And I'm going to end up standing next to you in a fitness class, which, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I did it because I really trusted her and her husband that they were doing something good for me. And so I went. But of course, I only went if she went. Like I was scared to death of the gym. I was scared to death of judgment and I didn't know what to do. So day one, I walked in like everybody else does on day one. The baggiest clothes ever, the frumpiest clothes ever, and I'm standing in the back corner. That was my spot. So that was my spot for a few months. And, because of her though, I had this person who was holding me accountable. So every day she's like, all right, we're taking the 9:30 class. Okay, we're taking this class. So that's what got me there. But I did think she was out of her mind when she said, "Look, you're in a rut. You need to go to the gym." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But I did it because you know what? A part of me knew she was right.
Well, that's the thing about it is you went. She said 9:30 and you said, "Okay."
Right? Yes.
That's the biggest thing I think. And so now, I mean, then the question is, how did you thank her? Because literally this changed your life dramatically,
Oh, it did.
right? Your personal life, your career, all the things. So, how did you thank her?
You know what? That's funny. I don't know if I actually thanked her, but she's the type of person that she's so genuine that it didn't matter. She just wanted to make sure I was happy. And she could see like everything about me was changing. My confidence, I had a voice. I started getting a voice where I always wanted one, always had a lot of thoughts going on in my head. But did I ever voice them? No, because I was afraid of being ridiculed or, just whatever it might be. But so I think for someone like her, the thank you came in seeing me change and seeing me come out of what they called a rut because I was staying at home now with my two kids. And so it was a big change at that point in time. I identified with making money and working full time, and now I stayed home full time. So that's what she said when she came to me. She's like, "You're in a rut and you need to get out. You need your kids to have some time and you need to have your time." So, I think that probably was enough of a thank you to just see the change. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was incredible.
And I love the advice she gave you of you need time and your kids need time. Like
Right.
that wasn't English. This is actually something that serves everybody, even though I think a lot of times we can have it in our head. And listen, easy for me to say, I don't have kids, but I have a lot of friends who have
Sure.
kids and clients who have kids. And so I think sometimes what can happen is that we feel like if I do these things, it's taking away.
Right.
And what your friend pointed out is that, it's actually adding
Absolutely.
to everything.
Right. I mean, I think even people who don't have children, we're caught up in our day to day what we do.
Totally.
So even going to the gym is a stress relief for somebody without children. So either way, like it's just getting out of our routine.
Exactly, and listen, I need it every day.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Um, so I love this so much. So I think, your friend's amazing, and, it's interesting though because your background was also in the wellness space. Like, you studied psychology, right? Didn't you work with, like, eating disorder
I did.
patients?
So I have a psychology degree from Penn State. So I graduated. I started working out in mental health. So I worked for a children's inpatient unit, and then I moved over to eating disorders. So I worked there for a while. And then when I wanted to leave that environment, I went to human resources. So I always had this aspect of health and wellness to my work.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like all the things come full
Right.
circle and come together, and it all came together with Rise, right? But so Rise means something.
Yes. So RISE training is what I called it. RISE stands for Resilient, Inspired, Strong, and Empowered. When I was thinking about my business, I was thinking, well, what matters to me? Why am I doing this business? And those are all the things that came to mind. That's what it did for me because it just made me into a person I didn't realize I could be. Is somebody I wanted to be, but somebody I was too scared to be. So that's why I called it Rise.
That's amazing. I hope everybody heard that. It's the person I wanted to be, I knew I always could be, but maybe I was scared to
Right.
be. Magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess before we dig into all of the details of the workouts and everything we're going to talk about, I want to preface it because there are some people who would be like, yeah, great for you. I hate it.
Hmm.
So, what do you say to someone who says, I hate working out?
Well, I hated the idea of working out. That's why I never did. So let me back up a little. I my second child was 2 years old when my friend came to me. So before that, I thought the gym was an absolute waste of time. I'm like, who the heck has the time to fit something in like that? There was no way. So in my mind, I hated working out. So for anybody that is there and feeling like that, which is probably a lot of people, I would say you've got to give it a shot. And with any of my classes, any new format to somebody, I tell them you have to give it 3 times. 3 times, because the first time you are going to go in there and feel like a fish out of water. Like you're going to feel so uncomfortable because nothing is familiar, right? So you have to know that's going to happen. But then you have to go back again. Now it's a little more familiar. You're getting to know some of the faces. You feel a little bit better. The third time, you're going to feel pretty good. And if you look back at the other 2 times, you're like, wow, this is great. Think about how I feel when I leave. Think about, just the community in there. When you're working with somebody or next to somebody, it just makes a difference. So I would say, even if it's dreadful, the thought never crossed your mind, but maybe a little piece of this is ringing a bell in there, I would say just give it 3 times. Even if that's going in for a 30-minute class or going on the treadmill for 15 minutes. Now, I'm not a treadmill person, so if you just made a face to treadmill, I get that. I do. I was more a class person. Like I needed other people to motivate me. So, and which we're going to get into with different formats.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that it can offer fitness. So, I would say try it. Just try it.
I also think, to your point of like you have to do it 3 times, I think people hate it because it can be tiring. Finding the time to do it feels like an added thing. So instead of trying to find the time or doing something to find the time, they're just like, oh, I hate that. So because then we can cognitive dissonance, right? We can like rationalize not doing it. Um, and then to your point, it's hard or they're not good at it. Like it's new and it's different. And therefore, the first time, of course, it's going to be awkward and
Right.
uncomfortable.
Right. And that's, of course, number one, I think. We feel like we're not good at it. I mean, think about anything in life. If we feel like we're not good at it, we're never going back to it. We don't want to, you know? I mean, that's a great example because this morning I taught a class. I was teaching an upper body strength class. And so I looked at what I came up with and I made this ugh before I even started. They're like, what are you giving us? I'm like, now listen, I'm saying ugh because I don't like this exercise. But what does that tell us? That tells us that it's hard for me. And it also means I have to do it. So if it's hard for me, I hate it, but I have to do it. So we did it, but that's usually what it is. If we feel like we're not good at something, then we hate it. But if you really think about that, you probably need to give it a shot.
Awesome. Agreed. Okay. So you started to touch on this. Group fitness versus personal training, pros and cons of each.
So they are really a personal preference, is what that comes down to. So what I did touch on was for me, in order to motivate me, I knew I needed people. Like I needed to visually see people doing the exercises. I needed to see, you know, their confidence level because the town I was in, the class I was in, these women had such confidence. I mean, it was crazy. It was a little intimidating. But to see that and think, you know what, that's my goal. Like, I want to be able to have that. And for me, it wasn't necessarily the physical aspect. Of course, that happened because that's going to happen if you're eating well and you're working out. But for me, it was more about, wow, look at the confidence that person has. And just, they just exuded this energy that was just amazing. And that's something I really, really wanted. And I didn't have it because I was too scared. I was just scared of people. So for me, group fitness worked. So that's one thing. And group fitness, I mean, there are so many great things to it. You get a lot. You have somebody instructing you. So if you're the type of person that needs that instruction, then it's there. If you're visual, you're seeing it, and then at the same time, they're on a mic. So they're telling you. So if you, by hearing, you learn better, then you have it all right there. So that works for a lot of people, but for a lot of people, it doesn't. They want to be on their own. They want to do their own thing. Maybe they watched a YouTube of what to do, how to do an interval training. So they're going to hit the treadmill and do an interval. So, it's all about preference, really. So, it's just whatever somebody wants. There's really no good or bad to either one. It is.
Yeah. And, again, like personal preference, it's interesting because I know some people who,
They do.
like both. And so mixing them together, and I think, that's what you offer really between your group fitness and personal training, all with Rise. And even the app offers both
Correct.
kinds of things
Right.
too, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So you teach a lot of different types of group
Right.
fitness, kickboxing, Pilates, high intensity interval training or the HIIT, and
Hmm.
boot camp. So when might somebody gravitate toward one of them? Should we be doing all of them? Should we be, focusing on one and kind of going there more often? Like, how do we balance all these different
Sure.
things?
That's a great question. So a little bit of everything is great. It's recommended that we do 150 minutes of workout a week. So really, that comes down to 30 minutes, five days a week. Which, when you break it down, that's okay. That's doable, right? That's manageable. We could do that. But you should do a little bit of both. It's at what age you should start doing more. So like in your 20s, if you're starting out, HIIT programs are great because it involves strength, it involves cardio, and it's circuits. So your heart rate's high and low, which is great for fat burning. So well after you walk out of that class, your body's still burning fat. But now when you get into your 30s, if you have that foundation of your HIIT, now you can bring it into your 30s, which is really important because now in our 30s, now we're out of college, grad school, things like that. And now we're working full time. We're starting families, and so life gets involved. And so we don't find a lot of time to do workout. And so if you have already a foundation, specifically HIIT, that's going to be great. But also in that, you want to make sure you're doing other stuff, additional cardio, additional strength. Because in our 30s, our cardio, we start to really feel that if we're not used to working out. And strength, our muscle, it's not quite there yet that we're losing muscle, but you're heading there. Once you hit 35, it's heading there, but if you're working out and doing all of it, you're good to go. 40s, so that's where I'm at. We really need to have more strength than cardio. But again, you want to have both. Like it's important to have both. But you want to start doing some resistance training, so those bands, and you want to also, get your strength in, so you can be using hand weights, things like that, and then some cardio is good. Whatever it is, you can go for a walk, you can run, whatever works for you. Anything over that. So let's say, just so you're not hearing me go through every single decade. So once you hit 50, you want to start thinking about your joints. So that's like a major thing in our 50s, that your joints are really like just, you have to find things that are easier on your joints. So resistance is great. Cardio, as long as it's not like horrible impact, correct,
Pounding.
right? So if you're a person that likes the treadmill and you're in your 50s and you have joint issues, you should incline it a little bit. That will help on your knees, things like that. So, like I said, I was just trying to avoid all the decades, but let me go into one more. So, so then once you hit 60 and above, what you want to do is really find things that you love. Maybe another hobby, something like golf or tennis, you want to add that in because now you'll stick with it. And that's really with any age. You want to do things you like, otherwise you're going to stop doing it. It's not worth it to you. But you're going to have to, get a little bit less on maybe free hand weights, maybe using the machines that are at the gym because they give you some support and some guidance. So it's easier on your joints. But again, you want to do all of it. You can even incorporate, things with the pool because that is so great for our joints. So if you're a person who likes to swim or do any kinds of classes in the pool, which they offer a lot of, you can do those. So it's just, you should always do all. It just matters where you're at in the lifespan.
Right. It's almost like, to sort of sum up what you're saying, at different phases in our life, there's like all the time we have cardio strength
Hmm.
and flexibility,
Right.
right? And balance, I guess. And then sort of at different phases of life, maybe our emphasis is on one of those elements, maybe more than the others, or the balance, the shift, or whatever.
No, you're
I don't know what
absolutely right. That's exactly it. Like you're just shifting where more of the priority is depending on the age. It's exactly it.
perfect. Okay, we're gonna dig into this more. Uh, Perfect moment though to highlight our partner for this episode, Lumiere de Vie Skincare. Lumiere de Vie was founded by Amber Ridinger McLaughlin in response to her own experience of mere marginal results from countless costly creams. She realized the revitalization of her youthful skin could only occur if she developed products herself. Working closely with beauty scientists and exploring the most advanced ingredients derived from the earth and sea, Amber created Lumiere de Vie, the next generation of skincare. The extensive line of luxury skincare products is designed to address all skin types and concerns, including uneven texture or tone, dryness, and fatigue skin. With the highest quality natural ingredients and powerful formulas that help heal, soothe, moisturize, and protect, Lumiere de Vie acts as first aid for your skin. The result? Rejuvenated, luminous, beautiful looking skin. So, we're talking about, fitness at every age and all those kinds of things. And I think one of the other things about taking care of ourselves is taking care of our skin, right? I think again, it's not even so much what we look like, but how we feel. And I have to tell you guys, so you've probably heard about like retinol as an anti-aging skincare thing. And my skin is super sensitive, so I've never been able to use them until the Lumiere de Vie retinol cream. So, fun fact about retinol, it's the primary naturally occurring form of vitamin A. And it is it's used with skincare because it actually accelerates skin's natural cell turnover. And that accelerated cell turnover helps liven the skin's superficial layers, slough away dead skin cells, so then you look better. So it works. That's really how it works, right? So the retinol in this product and why I'm able to use it even with my sensitive skin is that it's a sustained release. So it releases over time and then it, doesn't irritate. It targets fine lines and wrinkles, improves elasticity, brightens the skin. I love it. You'll love it. You'll be glowing. And of course, we have a discount. So to get 10% off your order, text the word SKIN, SKIN, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word SKIN to 844-947-4846 to try the Lumiere de Vie skincare, particularly retinol cream, and get 10% off. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, so we talked through, the different ages. And so how do we sort of like, especially now, talking about different phases of life, like age is one phase of life. The pandemic is turning out to be a phase of
Yes,
life.
it is.
So, so when we're all sort of in our homes versus, not in the gym, at least in the way that we used to be, how do we do like a self-assessment? Like, how do we figure out both initially and then ongoing to make sure we're doing the right things when we're on our own or using an app or YouTube?
So, I mean, those are all great because they are visual. You can see form, you can see what the instructor is doing, or like on the app. So on my app, it's me actually doing the exercise. So I'm showing you form. So things like that are good in terms of making sure that you're doing it safely and correctly. Um, you could, if you have injuries, which most of us have something going on, I would probably research that for a little bit and just make sure of what you can and can't do. But more importantly, talk to your doctor. If you have a doctor, just talk to them, let them know you want to work out. What should you be doing? And so once let's say it's resistance, but now you need to know what the exercises are. What do I need? What equipment do I need? there are things all over the place that you can just, look it up and you'll see. But you want to find a program that's good. Like you want to make sure somebody is really doing it safely and properly. Some people might not be. So I would really watch a few things, or if you maybe have friends that are doing like virtual classes with somebody, just join it. See if you can take a free class, or sign up for a week or a few classes and just check it out. But most likely, those people that are running those classes, they'll talk to you. So don't be afraid to talk to them or reach out to them. A lot of people are a little intimidated to do that. I actually had a woman reach out to me the other day, and I was so happy she did because she was a little nervous. She's like, I didn't know if I could reach out to the person that runs these classes. I'm like, of course you can. And you should, because I would want to know what injuries these people have that I'm watching, because during my classes, I know who has shoulder issues, who has knee issues. And so whatever exercise I'm doing, I'm changing it up specifically for them. So it's very important to, one, figure out what your injuries are and are there things you absolutely can't do. And then two, talk to somebody that's running a class if you're interested in their classes. But always talk to your doctor first. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I just appreciate that you reminded all of us to talk to the
Yeah,
instructor,
right.
even when it's
Because
virtual,
it's intimidating,
you know?
right, to talk to anybody. I can remember I wasn't going to talk to an instructor. I'm like, no, they're like a god to me at that moment in time, right? So, but they can be intimidating, but they're really not. Like they were right where everybody else was at one point in time, where we were scared to go out there and work out. And so, it's important to talk to them. And look, if it's a person that feels like, when you ask them a question, they don't want to be bothered, well, then you have a choice to make there, but more times than not, you're going to find that personal trainers and instructors, they want to talk to you because they want to make sure you're doing it right. And they want you to like it, you know? So definitely reach out to them.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too what you pointed out about even like injuries. And a lot of times when we have an injury, the hesitation is we'll do nothing till it feels better. And I think it depends what kind of injury, because sometimes like attracts like, lack of momentum, lack of movement snowballs into lack of movement. And so sometimes, even though we're injured, we need to do things to strengthen, particularly our joints, strengthening the muscles around the
Right.
joint
Oh
is
yeah,
really important, right?
absolutely is very important. And along with that, I know this is getting off exercise a little bit, but it is a huge piece of it. If you've ever done myofascial release, which is those foam rollers, that is so important too after, along with stretching, right? So this would go along the lines of stretching. That is so important too because it can alleviate a lot of pain in the joints. We just don't realize it because we don't realize our muscles are tight, because we might feel pain somewhere, but it's really coming from somewhere else. So if you're having issues with your joints, chances are it's a tight muscle and you need to stretch and you need to make sure you're doing the maintenance piece of it after.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so, are there any things that you would recommend some people do, in particular to either self assess in general or, after an injury? Like, how do we even know what size
Mhm.
weights to be
S-
buying if we're
Sure.
creating our home
So
gym?
start low. If you've never worked out before, start low because you need to get comfortable with what you're doing. You need to get comfortable first with the basic movements. Like for me, a basic movement would be a squat. So you can even do that. Start out your classes without any weights. Who cares if everybody else is using weights? They're not watching you, they're watching themselves, number one. And number two, just you want to be comfortable with that movement first. You want to get down the form first. And it won't take long. You're watching somebody, you can ask them questions, you'll get that movement in no time, and then do it for a few classes, but then add some weights in. So add low weights in, 5 pounds, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. And then you work your way up. And that's kind of what I do with any of my clients that are brand new into fitness. Or, if somebody just came out of, let's say, chemo, like they can't do certain things. So we start out low. We start out with resistance. We start out with no weights or very low weights. And even though it sounds like it's low weights and everybody's doing these big weights, you'd be surprised how you will feel it because after doing a bunch of reps, next day you're going to feel it, and you'll know when you're ready to move on. You might need somebody to push you to go higher, but guaranteed you're going to be able to go higher and higher each time. And before you know it, you'll be there. But what I want you to do if you are doing that, day one, you have to test yourself. Here's a great assessment you can do at home. See how many push ups you can do on day one. And that means coming down to the floor and coming straight up. So, not even halfway, you want to do one. If you have a bar around, let's say a monkey bar, do a pull up, see if you can do it. If you can't, you can't. That's fine, but write it down. And then I want you to work on that. And I bet within months of working on it, you're going to go back to these notes and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I could do 10 push ups now, or I can do one pull up. But that's huge. And that's a great assessment of progress. So, yeah, it's
That's
fun.
awesome. Yeah, and such a yeah, like and something we forget about, like which to your point, write it down
That's
because
right.
you're
We
gonna
will
forget.
we will forget. That's so true.
And I think the overarching theme of what I'm hearing from you too is like just keep moving. Like one of the things as you were going through each decade,
Yes.
not like at no point did you
Right,
say
right. No,
stop.
you want to keep going. I mean, I don't know, it lengthens our life. It makes us young. It, keeps us like our joints. Like you don't want to be not able to walk around and when you're 80, you know? I mean, I have somebody who's in my class, she's 70. And my mother is 73. My mother doesn't work out. So she came one day. She wanted to watch my outdoor classes. So my mom came. And so this woman that takes my class, that's 70, and she can do pull ups. She can like lift weights like no other. But this is a woman who's been working out all her life. And so when she left, my mother said, wow, how young is she? I'm like, she's 70. And my mom was blown away because my mom has major joint issues, But if you keep doing something, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, right? Go for a walk. Just as long as you keep moving, you're going to feel good and you're going to keep your joints good.
Awesome. Um, as we wrap things up, I'm sort of curious. I've asked this question to people before, but I love the answer every time. So, what do you think most people are doing wrong when it comes to
I
fitness?
think people are doing things because they think they should or they think they're supposed to. Um, Before really recognizing what they actually enjoy doing, because fitness has so many pieces to it. There's got to be something you like. Like I love punching a bag. Like, that was so great for me when I first started working out. It got out a lot of stress. So that's something that will stay with me. I love that. But going on a treadmill, I don't like, so I won't do it. So I think people do things and they have this word should in their heads. Like, oh, I should do that because so and so does it. So, wow, I could go on with a bunch of reasons here. I was just going to say people also compare themselves, and that is the number one no no. Don't compare yourself because we are all so different. We all have different things going on in life, whether that's just life or injury or whatever it might be, stresses, So I think people also need to recognize that they can't be comparing themselves. You have to do what's right for you and what you enjoy.
Yeah, and to that point, I'm going to add comparing yourself to the people
Oh,
on social media who are using their bodies as
right.
their brand.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't get away from it now. And now with pandemic, we're always on it. We thought we were always on it before. Now we're really always on it. So absolutely. Like you got to get those things out of your head. You have to try hard and you have to really be aware of it.
Yeah. Any other like key takeaways or anything we missed?
Hmm. I don't think so. I mean, we touched on a lot of it, like a lot of the points I
We
wanted
did a lot.
to. But yeah, the most important one, and we said it, is just give it a shot. Even if you're, whatever it is, if it's fear or just you're absolutely sure you hate it, you might not. So just give something a try. And again, it can be anything as long as you're moving.
Awesome. Actually, I'm going to ask you one more question because this came up with a client a couple months ago. Um, in her life, she got out of, exercising and activity. Um, when she used to do it before, she loved step classes. She found an old, step and has a couple risers, and she found some things on YouTube. And in the process of doing it and sort of trying to get back into it, she's still finding herself hating it because it's the constant comparison to what she used to be able to do. Like I used to be able to do an hour. I used to not sweat till at this point. I used to be so coordinated and exactly on the beat with the teacher
Right.
and all the things. So How do we handle that, especially if we're getting back into
Wow, yeah, that's a tough one because that's more on the psychological piece of it, right? It's a lot of negative self-talk, which I mean, we all do, and I think majority of people do, which is why life is a little hard for us. And that goes along with the comparing. So she's comparing herself to herself, which is hard. So I think that's a piece where it's just you really have to kind of live in the moment and you really have to step back and realize when you're thinking like that and really look at reality. Okay, I'm 15 years older than that, and I might not be able to do the things I used to, but that's okay. I can still do all of these other things, and maybe I can try something new that I didn't do back then. So I think that's one of the hardest pieces, just that constant battle in our own heads. So yeah, that's hard. But if she can try to live in the moment and recognize it, that's the bigger piece of it. Yeah, that's huge. Like the whole psychological piece too. I think everything, but for me in fitness, it's big. So with my clients, I'm constantly talking to them about, okay, well, why do you feel that way? Why do you think that? And then we kind of get down to the bottom of it and what's going on. Because there's always something else going on, right? Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Awesome. Well, Darlene, thank you so much for all of this. I love chatting with you. We could talk for hours. Are you ready for our rapid fire off topic questions?
Oh my gosh, I think I am. And I wanted to listen to another podcast to remember what kind of questions you asked, and I totally didn't do it. So I'm like, oh
It's all the better. All the better.
no. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? And what's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week?
The best thing I've done for my health this week. Um, well, today I taught an upper body and a lower body strength class, but what I did differently was go up in my weights because I felt like, well, I should be a better example. And I know I can go up in weight. I just chose not to in the last couple of weeks. So that's something I did great for myself. What I didn't do so great, I could name a few, but I did not work out yesterday. Um, and well, Sundays included, right, in this. So I ate pizza, which pizza's fine. It's
Yeah.
okay. But I overindulged, but I love pizza, so so I did it.
Yum.
Right.
If you weren't a personal trainer, fitness instructor, and the founder of Girl Up, what would you do?
Oof. Oh, you know what I would love to do? Oh my gosh. This is great. I love this question. FBI. I would love to be an FBI. I
Yes.
watch all those shows, and my husband's always like, how did you know that was going to be the outcome? Like, I just knew it. I just knew it. Yes, FBI would be it.
Awesome. Favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise? It can be fiction.
Well, this is a good one because I don't read an awful lot. Like I drift, so I don't read a lot. But one of my goals on my vision board this year is to read a book. And yes, that's right. I said a book. That's right. But I'm going to try for more. But I really like psychological books. So this might sound a little crazy, but I am reading right now The Sociopath Next Door, which I find fascinating. Like that
It's
stuff,
so fascinating.
because it's so far from what we think or how we are. And so when you see that that actually exists, it just blows your mind. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I'm into it.
And it's also crazy how predictable it is once you know the
Right.
thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing.
Okay, if you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Oof. Um, hmm. I think probably Alzheimer's. I feel like
That's a good one.
that's tough. I mean, from what I understand, when you're in it, there are times when you recognize that it's happening. And so I can't imagine feeling that, like that this is happening, but you have no control. So probably that.
Yeah. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
My superpower. I'd love to know what people are thinking. That'd be so great. It's so funny. It makes me think of that movie. Remember that movie, What Women Want? Do you remember
Yep.
that?
Of
Yeah, that's
course.
what it makes me think of. Although I probably wouldn't want to know everything everyone's thinking, but you know,
You could turn it on and turn it off.
right. That would be perfect. Then I'd like it.
Okay, what's your biggest pet peeve?
Wow, we could go on with this. These could be funny. Too bad we don't have a big group talking about this. Actually, a post came up the other day that I had posted 3 years ago. And I was trying to remember this. It was the funniest thing. It's about there and there.
Yes.
Their and THERE, right? That is a pet peeve of mine. And I know it's a me issue, so I'm trying, when I see it, I just try to move on. But yeah.
But it's grammar and spelling.
Yeah.
I get it. I know.
Right.
All right, the last one. In your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
Hmm. Um, well, I feel like with pandemic, if we're talking about current things, I feel like a lot of gym type things will now be online. I feel like that's kind of the way. I think even gyms may move to more online, even though it would probably still be some type of membership, through a gym. But I think a lot of things will be online because, who knows how long this is lasting. And and even if it's not lasting, like what I'm hearing now are some people are still afraid to go into a gym, but they'll take an outdoor class or they'll take a virtual class. So I feel like for that arena, I think a lot of things will go virtual.
Yeah. Well, Darlene, one more time, thank you for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to find Girl Up and Rise Training, all the things.
Okay, sounds good. So let's do Girl Up first. So on Instagram, you can get me at girlup.app, and the website is the same. So www.girlup.app. The link is in there that goes right to the app, and also remember you have a link on this podcast that will take you right there as well. And then also for Rise Training on Instagram, it's risetraining.fit. And the website it's a little different. It's risefitnesstraining.com. So my contact info is in there. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. It's also on Facebook, so you'll find both there too. But many ways to reach out to me. So even if you just have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. It's important that you do ask so that you feel comfortable with everything. But Jenn, thank you for having me on. This was so much fun. Loved it.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll put links to everything in the show notes to make it easy. And the app, I have an iPhone, so I know I can get it. Is the
Yes.
app on Android also?
It is not. So right now it's only on iPhone. So hopefully eventually I will get it onto Android, but right now we're doing it on iPhone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Do you have another minute to hang out for our nutrition nugget?
Yes.
Awesome. This week, we are talking about yogurt. So, some people love it, some people hate it. It's one of those foods that can also be a total trap, right? Like it is marketed to us as healthy and a great choice when the truth is, like, that's not necessarily the case. So, and you'll find studies on both sides of the equation. So, some will show you yogurt is incredibly healthy, and other studies have refuted the connection between yogurt and good health. So, I will say, if someone has issues chewing for whatever reason, yogurt can be an incredible choice for them because it does have nutrients and it is easy to eat in that way. So I think for those people in particular, it's, recommended. For the rest of us, we want to look at it more closely. Okay? So while we're looking at it more closely, I want to take a step back and talk about dairy in general. So dairy cows in the US are most dairy cows in the US are given what's called bovine growth hormone, which is RBGH, bovine growth hormone. And that in the human body can increase an insulin like growth factor called IGF-1. Okay, all of this you don't have to know. What you do want to know is that when IGF-1 is high, it's connected to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, among other health challenges. And so, whenever possible, when choosing dairy, we want to look for RBGH free, meaning that the cows were not pumped full of this bovine growth hormone. And therefore, choosing organic is what we want to do when it comes to dairy. Um, and the organic thing can be sometimes even more challenging when it comes to yogurt. But in talking about this, I wanted to mention it because I think it's really important. And for some people, by the way, yogurt and dairy can have almost like an autoimmune response or can trigger an autoimmune response. So be careful, know yourself, and if it impacts you. And the truth on that, too, is that we're all more or less lactose intolerant after the age of like 7. So starting around age 5, our bodies naturally have less of an enzyme called lactase. Lactase is the enzyme that breaks down lactose, the sugar in milk. So yogurt tends to contain less lactose than milk or some cheeses. So that's why some people are able to um, have yogurt even when they're dairy sensitive. But still, if it upsets your stomach, don't eat it, right? If you're allergic to whey versus lactose, right? Or if you're allergic to the protein found in milk versus the sugar, yogurt's not going to work for you. So I'll be honest, like for me, I go through phases of, having it, not having it. One of my mentors recommends 3 servings of dairy per week. So that's really different than what a lot of us have been told, right? So let's talk about the claims that we've heard and, why we've been told that we should eat dairy and yogurt in particular. So the first one I think that comes to mind is the probiotics, right? Or prebiotics. And there are some naturally occurring in yogurt because it's a fermented food. But many yogurts on the market also have probiotics added to them. So they're fortified with additional probiotics. And because dairy can be pro inflammatory, you're not necessarily going to get the probiotic benefit that you're looking for. So, we're probably better off eating a variety of vegetables and fruits, sufficient fiber, and some fermented foods, and then occasionally dairy to have our best gut environment. So, check the box on the probiotics, right? We get that one. We've also heard it's a great source of protein. And I'm gonna come back to this one in a second. Um, oh, my favorite is when you see the gluten-free label on milk, and that's not yogurt, but, so gluten is the protein found in grains. Last I checked, milk wasn't a grain, and so inherently milk should be gluten-free, right? But when it comes to yogurts, so sometimes, um, grains or gluten will be added as a thickening agent. That's actually the difference between Greek style yogurt and actually Greek yogurt. So pay attention, make sure you know what you're getting, and go for the organic, because then that also makes sure that the cows were not fed grain and they were not, especially like genetically modified foods and the hormones and all that kind of stuff. So the other thing that always comes up, um, around milk is, and dairy in general is a great source of calcium, right? And this is interesting. So, on average, plain non-fat Greek yogurt has about 187 milligrams of calcium. Comparing this to some other foods, a cup of spinach has 240 milligrams. A cup of broccoli has 180 milligrams. A cup of figs has 300 milligrams. So when we start to compare it to other things, eh, on the calcium from yogurt, right? So again, like on occasion, every now and then adding variety, cool. But to say, oh, I have to eat this every day because I need, the calcium, let's take a pause on that. Um, and then quick note on foods that say they have yogurt coating, right? So that could be cereals, that could be bars, like protein bars or candy bars, or candy, right? They'll say like made with real yogurt. Okay, they're not. Candy coating is made from whey powder or yogurt powder, sugar, hydrogenated oils, basically all the things that are not real yogurt. So don't be fooled. So how do we choose our yogurt? right? So we want it, we can have it, we want to have it on occasion. How do we choose it? What are we looking at? So the first question that people always ask is low fat, no fat, full fat, like what are we supposed to do? So when choosing yogurt, I always recommend go for low fat. So the reason being dairy is not our best source of fat. That's not our most nutritious fat. So that knocks out the full fat thing. And the fat free, when you're reading the label, you'll see that the fat free has more sugar in that container. And so essentially, when we're removing the fat, it concentrates the sugar in that volume of yogurt. So we also know from our other episodes, right, that having some fat can help blunt the impact of sugar on our glucose. So low fat yogurt is our best option. Then that brings up the sugar thing. So we actually have to read the label of the sugar. And what we're looking for is there's always going to be sugar in yogurt because sugar naturally occurs in dairy, right? That's lactose. So what we want to find out is by reading the label, is the sugar that's there the naturally occurring sugar or how much is added? Is it added sugar? And the way we do that is really by reading the ingredients. So we want to choose one that has as little sugar as possible, but most importantly that it's not added sugar. So reading the ingredients, sugar is going to look like cane sugar, anything with the word syrup, right? Ideally, you're choosing one where the only ingredients are yogurt cultures and maybe some live active cultures. Those are your probiotics that they've added in. And so this brings up flavored yogurt because this is also a question I get all the time. So the flavors tend to have added sugar and added ingredients, sometimes not even like actual fruit. So read the ingredients. Um, so I did a quick comparison. So Dannon Light and Fit vanilla, right? So not even like some crazy flavor, just plain, vanilla versus the plain Faye, Phage, whatever, however you want to say it, 2% Greek yogurt. So the Dannon Light and Fit vanilla had 4 grams of added sugar. Cane sugar was the fourth ingredient. And that was in 150-gram serving. The 2% Greek yogurt was a 200-gram serving and had 0 added sugar. So there you go, right? We can see it. It's pretty clear. The other thing to look at on the label, as we know, is protein. So I promised you I'd come back to this. So protein, remember from all of our reading labels, 7 grams is 1 ounce. So the Dannon Light and Fit, going back to that, had 5 grams of protein and 150 grams serving. So like less than an ounce, less than an egg white's worth of protein. The Faye 2% Greek yogurt, a 200-gram serving, had 17 to 20 grams of protein. So now we're talking almost 3 ounces of protein instead of almost 1. So that's dramatic, And the reason for this also is like what the way they make Greek yogurt is they drain it more and that concentrates the protein. That's also why it's more expensive because it takes more of the milk basically to then drain into to create the Greek yogurt. It takes more product. So anyway, I just want to mention quickly non-dairy alternatives because nuts or soy, read the label for the same elements, looking at the sugar, looking at the protein, but realize if you're looking for dairy, your dairy substitutes are not checking those boxes, right? Like it's not a fermented food. It's not going to give you those benefits that you are potentially looking for from dairy. So if you're going to eat it, how do we eat it? When can we eat it? All the things. So like we said, low fat, plain Greek yogurt. Add your own fruit and then round out the meal. Maybe add some nuts for some healthy fat, a little bit more protein. You can add it to a smoothie to help thicken the smoothie. You could even like I'll mix it with like nutritional yeast or avocado or whatever. You can make a dip. You could use even like a low sodium like ranch dressing mix it with the Greek yogurt, and then you get a little veggie dip. You could use Greek yogurt in baking instead of butter or oil. Use it instead of sour cream on a baked potato, make a creamy salad dressing with it. So you can really be creative if you're willing to go sweet and savory and, get a little bit more protein by using that low-fat Greek yogurt. So, summing this up, low-fat Greek yogurt, organic even better. Read the label for sugar and protein, and be sure to round out your meal or your snack with fiber and quality fat. And that's the deal on yogurt. Darlene, one more time, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. This is great.
Awesome. As always, guys, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram at Jenn Trepeck, JennTrepeck. Our Facebook page is at the same handle. And DM me because I want to hear your questions, your key takeaways, any ideas that you have. And of course, this is also a super easy way to reach out and learn more about working with me directly. If you're not already, join our membership program. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. This really shows your support for the podcast, this community, and your health, most importantly. Plus, this week's offering gets you your money back immediately for the month because you're getting a free fitness consultation with Darlene, a free virtual training class with Darlene and Rise Training, our guest from this week. Plus, your recipe is the almond flour chocolate cake that is truly delicious. So until next week, everybody, remember to be active and stay active at every stage of life, whether that's marked by age or a pandemic. We will see you next Wednesday. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.